guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Veronica and today we are going to be talking about a very hot topic that a lot of you have been asking me to touch on, and that is weed. My relationship with it, how I used it, my current relationship with it, and honestly, just overall addiction, external substances, and having a detachment to things outside of you. Now, if you're watching this and you really resonate with my content and you just want me to be like, weed is really good, you should smoke, or weed is really bad, you should try to quit, then this video is not for you. Because the best thing that I can possibly do is literally just tell you my story, tell you about my relationships with substances outside of me, how I've developed and continue to develop a healthy relationship with external substances using autonomy. Because at the end of the day, one of the most important skills that we can have is self-control. So yeah, let's get into it. I started smoking at the age of 14. That was when I smoked for the first time. And I just smoked like probably 3 to 4 times between the ages of 14 to 15 before I got caught. And my parents, as you guys know, if you haven't seen my lore video, go check it out. But my parents were extremely strict. So the minute that they found out that I had smoked at all, much less marijuana, they were very, very concerned and basically like locked me in the house. So I was deathly afraid of trying it again until about 17, which again, that's when everything kind of started to fall apart for me. My boyfriend had broken up with me, and my parents had just gotten a divorce. So I had this like newfound freedom because I had just started driving and working and all these things. And so I started to smoke again, just like in my car with friends when I was away, and I would just make sure that I was sober when I got home. Once I moved out at the age of 18, from ages 18 to about 21, I was smoking every single day, and I just considered myself like a functioning stoner. I completely identified with it, and I wouldn't say that it had a very negative effect on my life because I was still able to do the things that I needed to get done. But it wasn't until about the age of 21 where I started to question it. I started to get symptoms of, being groggy. I started to feel mentally drained. I actually started to get a little bit of irritability and anxiety when I wasn't smoking, and also brain fog. I was struggling with focus. And so as these things kind of started to appear in my life, I really started to question, whether the weed was really benefiting me in the way that I thought it was. And so I would go on breaks for about 2 to 3 weeks. I would tell myself, I'm not gonna smoke again. I would even go to the extreme and be like, I'm never smoking again. There was actually this one time where I was on a work trip and I was hitting my pen so much. I had a pen at the time. And it got to the point where I would have to take like literally 20 rips in order to feel something. Like that's how high my tolerance was. And I remember I just hated it. I hated how it made my lungs feel. I hated how it made my throat feel. So I impulsively just threw away my pen while I was on this work trip. And the following day, the amount of irritability that I incurred was ridiculous, to the point where, guys, I was in an Airbnb, and I'm not blaming my behavior on the substance at all. I'm just saying I am not a violent or like tense person, but I genuinely felt as though I was feeling so freaking irritable being sober. And I remember I was in the bathroom and I was doing my hair and I couldn't get my hair right. And I got so frustrated that I went like that towards the wall, and I literally punched a hole in the wall of an Airbnb. And again, guys, like I am not blaming that action on the weed and saying that it was the weed's fault, but I have never really been a violent person. So for that anger to come out of me the day after I quit smoking my pen, I didn't really think it was much of a coincidence. And not to mention, I had like a whole emotional breakdown about it, and I ended up having to cut my trip short and go back home. And I remember after that, I had quit smoking for about a month, and then I went back to it. And my relationship with it was not the worst. I actually would get stuff done, I would feel good, but of course I started to notice this cycle that every single time I would start to feel irritable or feel like I was doing it too much, I would take a break and tell myself I was quitting for good, or just take a break and tell myself it was just a tea break, and then I would go right back to it and repeat the cycle all over again. Guys, I know what it's like to convince yourself and rationalize with yourself that oh, it's fine if I smoke right now, like I'm not doing it for any weird reason, and then wake up the next morning feeling icky with yourself that you smoked again. I can't tell you guys about the countless times where I would wake up in the morning after smoking the night before and being like, why did I do that? Or like, I really don't need to be smoking, like I don't know why I'm smoking, I'm not smoking today. And then that day would pass, and then the night would come, and then I would smoke, and the cycle would repeat over and over and over again. And that's just such a frustrating cycle to be in. Having that lack of self-governing and that self-autonomy, you are giving so much power to a substance. You are letting it have full control over you. The same way that you're allowing that substance to have control over your life is the same way that you allow negative experiences to have control over your life, or arguments with your partner, or any other decision that makes you feel icky and disgusted and not good, and with your soul, with your body, with yourself. Until about 8 months ago, where I completely decided to just stop smoking. It just didn't feel like it was serving me anymore, and I don't know how to explain it other than I just felt like I was simply growing out of it. It wasn't helping me like it used to. I was feeling actually more irritable while I was high than when I was sober, and so this was when I also started really meditating and journaling and taking my mental practices very seriously. And I started to realize that I really don't need a substance in order to make me feel better. I can achieve all those things sober. So why not live that life sober? So I quit smoking for about 2 months. Again, I would smoke like a random night, and then I would not smoke. So majority of the time I was not smoking, but it wasn't until very recently where I really started to journal and dig about my relationship with weed, and I truly do feel like I have found such a perfect balance. But that perfect balance doesn't come without steps first, without building autonomy. Having this balance with symbols such as sex, alcohol, money, spending, food even. In order to have a healthy relationship with anything outside of yourself, you must first have autonomy, which is the ability and the skill to self-govern and constantly make decisions that are benefiting you, not out of attachment to something outside of you. So that being said, how do we even start to develop the skill of autonomy? And that is by asking questions. So I'm going to be going over the most important questions that I truly had to ask myself about weed and about myself in order to develop the healthy balance. As you're watching this, I want you to be asking yourself these same questions. First, let's touch on the actual textbook definition of autonomy, because it is self-governing, right? But what does that even mean? What does it mean to truly govern yourself and your actions? So let me read it to you. I got this from Wikipedia, I think. So autonomy is the capacity of an agent to act in accordance with objective morality rather than under the influence of desires. So what does that mean? That means instead of acting on a desire that you know isn't going to morally, ethically, or physically benefit you, you take it anyway. That is having such a lack of autonomy, is again diverting to an object outside of yourself just because of a simple desire, and not because you A, either truly want to, or B, because it has any benefit, direct benefit on you in the moment. From ages like 18 to 20, I would say, that's when I was acting out of desire. I was smoking because I felt like I needed to. Once it was time to eat, I would say, okay, I need to smoke now because it's time to eat, even if it was subconscious. Or an hour before sleep, I would say, okay, time to smoke. By saying time to smoke, I was actively admitting I need to smoke in order to sleep. I wasn't smoking because I felt truly inspired and called to. At that point, it was a mental and physical dependency on the substance, which meant that it wasn't necessarily benefiting me spiritually because I wasn't acting out of my highest desired intention, and also physically because it wasn't helping me. I was dependent and relying on the substance in order to do natural human things that you should be able to do sober. First question that we ask ourselves is, do I want to do this because I truly want to? Or am I smoking this substance because I subconsciously feel that I need to? Because let's be real, you don't need anything outside of yourself in order to cultivate and do the things that you want. You convince yourself that you need something outside of yourself. It's the same way that you grab a pre-workout before the gym because you feel that you need the energy. And when you admit that to yourself and say that I need this substance, I need this person in order to feel this way, you are giving your power away to that person, to that substance to have power over you. The next question that you need to ask yourself is, would partaking in this activity, experience, substance, would it truly and just unbiasedly benefit me in this moment? Or am I doing it to avoid things? So again, from the ages from 17 to about 20, this was when I had a mental and physical dependence on the substance. Once I realized it and I threw my cart away and actually made the change to stop smoking, I ended up going back to it not because I had a physical and mental dependence, but now it was becoming a spiritual dependence on the substance. So what I was doing was I knew, okay, I don't physically need this substance. I knew mentally I don't need this substance, but subconsciously my spirit said, let's avoid our stresses, our worries, our doubts, our fears, and smoke in order to enter a calm state of clarity and avoid the things going on inside our spirit. Again, that's when it started to form a spiritual dependency with weed that I wasn't even fully aware of until about that 8 months ago. And ask yourself right now, do I smoke? Do I drink? Do I have sex? Do I resort to things outside of me because they truly benefit my spirit, my mind, and my body? Or am I avoiding something much deeper within me in order to mask the feeling? And you can find the answer to this question by also realizing, when do you smoke? Do you find yourself smoking more when you're in a high stress state, when you're in an argument with your significant other, when you're not feeling the most confident before going out with friends? Or are you smoking when you truly feel like smoking just because you want to have the experience? For example, if I'm smoking weed every night before bed, it's not increasing my sleep. It's allowing me to maybe get to sleep faster. Therefore, I'm taking the easy route in order to get to sleep. But when you establish sleep quality, when you are smoking weed versus when you are sober, it is drastically different. When I was smoking weed, I would never dream. And dreaming is a healthy sign that you are actually reaching REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, meaning that you are in a deep, deep sleep and your brain and your body are fully at the deepest form of rest that they can possibly get to. So I was not reaching REM sleep when I was smoking. It was making me fall asleep faster, but I wasn't getting quality sleep. So I had to come to terms with it and say, what is truly more important for me? What will truly benefit me? Is it getting to sleep faster, or is it having good quality rest? Another one is mental clarity. So I would get home from like a very long, stressful day at work, and instantly my brain would be like, let's smoke. I had to step back and ask myself, is smoking right now truly benefiting me and putting me in a clear state? Or am I avoiding the thoughts, the fears, the insecurities that I dealt with throughout the entire day? What do you prioritize? Is having full government and is developing the skill of self-control and becoming a better, more functioning, more autonomous human being more important to me right now? Or is it just gaining some momentary peace that I know is false? And then the third kind of umbrella term over these last two questions, why are you smoking? If weed disappeared off of the face of the earth tomorrow, would you genuinely be okay? Would you be able to stay sane? Would you be as creative, as smart, as funny, as calm, and as peaceful as you are without weed? So truly ask yourself that question. If the substance that I have an attachment to, or the experience that I have an attachment to, if it disappeared off the face of the earth tomorrow, would I be okay? Would I be at peace with that? If the answer is no, then you need to dive deeper into the questions that we just discussed to figure out why exactly you are smoking. What are you running from? What is it actually doing for you? Once you figure out your why, I am smoking because I feel that it keeps me more creative. And ask yourself, am I able to achieve that level of creativity without this substance? Am I able to achieve this level of mental clarity without the substance? Am I able to achieve this level of confidence without this substance? If the answer is no, then that means that in order to have a healthy, detached relationship with the substance, you need to cultivate those qualities within your sober character first, before you are able to have the ability to self-govern yourself into having a balanced relationship with said substance. Because if not, then you may not be physically dependent on the substance, but you are mentally and spiritually dependent on the substance in order to give you characteristics that you feel you lack. And that is where we get into an unhealthy relationship with weed, because you feel as though anytime you want to be more creative, anytime you want to be a better and higher version of yourself, if you have to resort to a substance, then you are faking it. You are pretending. You are now have a dependency mentally, emotionally, and spiritually on a substance in order to be the best version of you. And that is where it will become toxic if you continue down that path. Use these questions in order to figure out your why. And once I came to the conclusion as to why I was smoking, I figured out I'm smoking because I am still practicing the avoidance that I was practicing with my first boyfriend left me and when my family got divorced. And by me partaking in smoking now, it just shows me that I'm repeating that avoidant behavior from before, and that is not healthy. Now, asking yourself these questions is crucial, and it may be beneficial for you to sit down and actually ask yourself these questions just while watching this video, but I promise you're not going to be able to figure out your deep why as to why you even started smoking to begin with without actually doing the self-work to become self-aware. Right? Because it's easy to just watch a video and ask yourself all the questions now, but tonight or tomorrow, when you go to smoke, drink, have sex, whatever it may be that you feel that you're attached to, if you're not self-aware enough, those questions are not going to come up, and you will continue repeating the cycle of having an unhealthy attachment to a substance if you don't develop the self-awareness to be able to ask yourself the questions to develop autonomy. My boyfriend, there would be times where we would be sitting outside and he would be smoking and he'd pass me the joint and I would take the joint. But before hitting it, I would literally ask myself these questions. I would say, why am I doing this right now? Am I doing this because I truly want to smoke right now? Or am I doing it just because it's here? Is it gonna benefit me more to get good, full quality sleep tonight? Or is it gonna benefit me more to, smoke and have this experience right now? Am I in the mental, physical, and emotional state in order to be able to deserve this experience right now? Or am I using it to run from something deeper? The fact that I was able to sit and ask myself these questions with the joint in my hand and then give myself the answer and make the decision based off of that answer, that is a level of self-awareness that takes meditating, that takes a lot of journaling. And so in order for you to be able to get to the point to figure out a healthy relationship and a healthy balance with weed, what I highly suggest you do if you are dealing with an unhealthy attachment to the substance is to completely give yourself at least a month off of the substance to do the mental work required in order to develop the self-awareness that then allows you to ask the questions in the moment. So again, guys, there was a lot of times where I literally had the joint in my hand and I would ask myself those questions. And if the answers became clear that it just wasn't the right moment and that I didn't really want to smoke, but I was doing it for the wrong reasons, I would pass it back and I would say, you know what, I'm good. And developing that level of self-autonomy gives you so much freedom. Gives you freedom to the fact that you will never have another substance or allow another substance to have power over you. So now that I've done the meditation and done the journaling and taken time off to separate myself from the substance and truly find my why and ask myself the right questions, I was then able to slowly incorporate it back into my life. And so for those of you that are wondering if I still smoke, I do. But I don't smoke every single day. I don't smoke if it doesn't feel right. I don't smoke when it is not fully beneficial for me. And again, I'm only able to develop that balance and that relationship with the substance because I've taken the time to do the work. What's really cool about this entire process is the first step is building that self-awareness. The second step is being able to pause and analyze that self-awareness in the moment to ask yourself the right questions. And the third step is literally just integrating it. So that's not to say that now every single time that I go to smoke, I have to sit here and ask myself questions and truly reflect. No. Now that I know my why and I've already done the work in the moment to reflect on those questions, now I'm literally just able to integrate my mental, my spirit with my body. And I have sort of the sense of intuition every single time an opportunity is presented to me to where I can smoke, to where I know whether I want to do it or not. I know whether or not it's going to be a healthy decision for me, and I just go based off pure feel. Over and over and over again, you will never be able to have a healthy balance with food, with weed, with alcohol, with sex, with literally any attachment until you have built the self-awareness, done the work, and asked yourself the questions in order to be able to combine body, mind, and spirit, and trust yourself enough to have that balanced relationship with a substance. In order to have a healthy relationship with anything outside of you, you have to have a healthy relationship within yourself first. To kind of sum it up for you guys, in order to be able to have a healthy relationship with anything outside of yourself and have full self-control and be able to build an unbreakable sense of self-control, you first need to build the awareness. And that awareness comes through meditation, journaling, stillness, and analyzing your thoughts. Second is asking yourself the right questions. The most important question being why. Why am I doing what I'm doing? And really getting to the bottom and the root cause of why your actions and your cycles keep on repeating. And third is being able to have the trust to embody your mind, your body, and your spirit to build an intuition that is just absolutely unbreakable, allows you to never ever give your power away to any substance, person, experience outside of you. That being said, I actually have something super exciting coming out for you guys. I am going to be dropping a 5-day mini course that's going to be completely free to help you guys establish not only the reality that you want to step into, but building an unbreakable identity, and 3, understanding exactly what's holding you back from being able to step into the version of yourself that you're trying to be. So that will be dropping shortly. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you don't follow me already on Instagram, it is at Evolve with Veronica. I will link it down below. I love you guys so much, and I really hope this helped. Mwah.